People in Huntsville are out and about doing fun activities, but it's hard to believe that last summer people weren't doing anything at all. Our Julia Smith has more about how the pandemic is affecting our activities even a year later.
The pandemic was isolating, and for people of Huntsville, it was especially difficult to survive.
We're so active. Having been involved with a community calendar for over 10 years now, Huntsville likes to do things.
Especially for families, kids couldn't participate in after-school sports, and on top of that, couldn't socialize in school too. So for kids and adults, Jones said that people picked up solo sports and hobbies during the pandemic. And now that people are out and about again, they're doing things bigger and better.
Interestingly enough, now that people can get out and do more, they're sort of doubling down on those activities. So if someone took up bicycling last year to be alone or to be in small groups, they may join a cycling club or a cycling group this year.
Some families still stay home. The pandemic has encouraged homeowners to invest in outdoor additions like pools, outdoor kitchens, and furniture so they can have fun at home. But even when people were strictly home last year, Huntsville continued to grow, which leaves many people with new things to do.
So they're going to the camp at Mid-City. They're trying all of the new restaurants. They're bringing their families to Stove House and hanging out on the lawn with their friends and having some drinks.
And of all the terrible things that COVID caused, there were some positives.
So it just really upended folks' routine. And even though that was really difficult in the beginning, I think a lot of people liked that their routine got upset because now they can build new ones.
Putting the Valley first, Julia Smith, WZDX News.